Hi, this is Alan Pentico, Executive Director of the Southern California Rental Housing Association, here again doing one of our industry profiles with one of our members. Today, Natasha, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
All right. Well, Alan, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be spotlighted as a member of the association. My name is Natasha Howell, and I am a residential property manager for an independent owner that has over 200 multifamily housing units in North County and the San Diego area. I have been in the property management industry for about 15 years, and I love it.
Excellent. I'm so thrilled to have you on our board. You're one of our new board members starting this year. Yeah. And I remember when I first met you, I've got to get her on my board. I love her energy and I love her enthusiasm. Definitely one of those people that you meet that loves her job and loves what she does. And I'm thrilled for that. So tell us about your company. Tell us what a little bit more about your company and how long you've worked there. And
Okay, well, yeah, so I work for an independent owner. I started off in the industry actually working for their brother, which had about 15 other properties in Southern California, and we branched off from going under his management to actually him managing it on his own, which he has over 200 units in Southern California. He actually has a property in Oklahoma as well, and so we're a staff of about 15. You have a residential property manager, I have a maintenance supervisor, and I have leasing team as well as maintenance professionals.
That's great. So you got a full complement there going.
We do.
How did it feel to transition and step out on your own and step into that role that way?
It was very scary, let me tell you, because I thought I knew everything under the other management company, but I was definitely cradled because, I have the support of the corporate office to assist me with back end stuff. When that carpet was pulled from up under me, I didn't have that support anymore, and it pretty much became all of my burden. So what I did was, first thing, I looked for an association that I could be a part of who can better assist me with the knowledge, best practices, and keeping abreast on the industry. Hence why we became members of the Southern California Rental Housing Association. Back then it was the San Diego County Apartment Association. Yep. And from there, we've just been rocking and rolling ever since. But without your support, I don't know how I would have been able to come this far, for sure.
That's always great for me to hear. Yeah, we are 101 and a half years old now, and yes. When we turned 100, we changed the name to Southern California. We've been the San Diego County Apartment Association for quite a long time. The name has changed, I think, 4 times in its throughout its duration, if you will. Really, they chose to change name this last time because for about 40 years now, we've been servicing members out in Imperial County, and about 10 years ago, we expanded up into the Temecula, Murrieta, and out to the Palm Springs area because we had a lot of owners down here that were seeking for an association up there. So we branched out from there, and I'm glad to have done so, honestly. It's been a really good experience to this. So I think I was counting the other day. I think we have three counties, 42 cities, and countless communities.
Wow.
It's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot. Accomplishment. That is an accomplishment for sure.
And you think about the legislation. So we're tracking all 42 cities, the 3 counties, the state and the federal government, and we're providing that information to all of our members. Yeah.
It's a lot. With all the legislation that has come down the pipeline, I swear for like a week and a half, I stood still, just waiting because there was just so much happening at the end of January. There was so much coming down the pipeline. I just stood still and waited for your emails to come through to better.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's one thing I learned early on, that it's about making sure that you guys have the right information at the right time, and it's timely, current information. So when the pandemic hit, I mean, Molly and our public affairs director, and Mike, her assistant, and our team was basically going through the legislation every night, rewriting everything, posting it, finding out the next day it was all going to change again, and doing it again every night. We did that for about a week and a half until things settled down a little bit. So now it's not quite as bad as it was, but it's still coming in like a fire hose compared to normal times, trying to keep everybody up to date on all the changes. And I think we're up to probably almost 10 new forms that just deal with the pandemic alone.
I printed them all. I printed them all, and anyone that I come in contact with in North County area, or the other day I called CSI, who I believe is looking to becoming a member again, and I said, "Are you a member of the Housing Association? Because if you're not, you need to be a part of the membership because we need you." So yeah.
That's great to hear. I actually just signed off on a new infographic, it's an infographic that kind of walks you through the different choices and options and decision points, if you will, that are under the COVID rules and things like that. So it's a visual representation of all the things going on. That'll go out on our social media channel this next week, which is February around 14th or 15th. So happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Okay. I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that that's working out. What what specifically were you looking for when you came to the association? I mean, obviously all the COVID things like that, but you mentioned that you needed the support and those sort of things. What were you looking for?
Well, we were just I was looking for the stability because, having that protection, that covenant of a corporate office and then managing on your own over 200 units up and down San Diego area could be a little taxing on someone's mind, and having to deal with the resident concerns and accounting and everything that comes with it. And so what your organization provided was a little bit of the stability and structure, best practices, continuing education. And so we were much appreciated for it. Everything that I learned from your webinars, I took it back to our offices and I implemented it in the office. And it worked out for the best because the owner feels no need to get a management company because he has employees who are able to take care of everything. So
well, that's excellent. I'm really glad to hear that, and we look forward to seeing you guys all in and around and participating. Yeah, I stop and think every year at this time, in December, I kind of tally up what we did the last year. And I think we went from 850 students in 2019 to over 1,000, if not over 1,100 students in 2020,
wow.
Going through our education seminars. And we roughly usually do about 60 seminars a year, and I think we surpassed 85 or 90 last year.
Right.
So it's a tremendous amount of information being distributed for sure.
It's very necessary, and a lot of landlords that are not part of your organization or even property management companies are missing out. You'll be surprised how many people I encounter that still are hesitant about being a part of an association because of the fees they say or the time. But you're gonna have to make the time unless you do something that's not by the book, and then you're gonna wish you had the time to be a part of the association.
Yeah, my predecessor always said we're the best and cheapest insurance that you guys can get.
Right.
For an independent owner starting at a couple $100 a year, or $250 a year, something like that, on up, in comparison to the value of your unit and the costs of court fees and the cost of attorneys. Just the operational advice alone for a standard member is unlimited operational advice. Well, you call an attorney once, it's $350 an hour. So that's far more than the membership for a year.
Exactly.
Plus you're getting all the other information in the forms and all that sort of thing.
Not only that, so I'm sorry to cut you off. Not only that, it's the networking behind it. I mean, it's for me, it's a fresh breath of air because again, we're in our own bubble, having an independent owner. If we didn't have the association, who would I be able to speak to and call on and ask, just industry advice to, or other property management managers that are in our meetings or on our web calls about how they do things for operations. So the support is there, and we're much appreciated.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that it's there if you look for it. I mean, it's sitting right there in front of you. You know what? We always try to make sure that the way we communicate the information is varied as well. And we're still only a few organizations that still does a printed magazine every month. We have the same magazine goes out in digital format as well, usually a couple days before the printed version. Weekly newsletters. A monthly newsletter, legislative alerts is probably the biggest thing, is those calls to actions. People don't understand how important it is that the legislatures hear from the people who are running the show, the owners and the managers and the on-site folks, all the way down to the maintenance people, even our supplier members are important. I talk about this frequently. I remember being in DC back in the early 2000s, and there was a proposal to increase the taxes around products, goods, and services, and tracking that information and what business expense would be. And it would basically come down to that you go to your hardware store, and anything you bought for your business in your hardware store, you'd have to report as a business expense. And we actually had a representative from the hardware store with us, and I said, well, what is that going to do for you? Because they have to issue like a W-2 or W-4 every year for every product that you bought. And they said, the price of every item would go up by $5 just to accommodate the paperwork challenge.
Yeah.
And the elected officials, I just went every product just to manage that. And so, every part of the membership is important to be fully engaged in what we do because it all matters.
Right.
Legislatively, I know that you are diving into that more and more with us. And tell us about your experiences there.
Well, you mean with the association or outside?
Both.
Both. Okay. Yeah. Well, becoming a member of the association, I started off actually in membership. And then because of the position that I'm in, I was not able to make the meetings. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to make it a goal for 2019 to get involved in the association, because I was still downloading the forms and paying attention and getting the emails, but I wasn't as involved as I should have been. So 19 was my goal. And so with that being said, I joined the education committee, and I just love the fact that not only did the chairs of the committee wanted to hear from the committee members, they took that and they implemented into their new system about, having more webinars about best practices, having more webinars about the Section 8 vouchers and how to accept them. There's so much information that was going on from 2019 till now with legislation. It was a madhouse for most of us in the industry. So I much appreciate it. So I'm a champion of, fighting for legislation. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. That's what we try to do is the committees are staffed with our members, our volunteers, because we want to know exactly what you're struggling with, what you're trying to overcome, what your needs are, so we can apply that knowledge that we have and share it with everybody to fulfill your needs. I mean, that's the whole point of it. And it's what a lot of owners are finding out right now, owners and management companies, that is that the Section 8 program, we've done a lot of effort with the housing authorities and commissions in our region to make sure our members know about it. And what they're finding out right now is if you, like, for example, right now during the pandemic, if you have a vacant, you could reach out to one of the Section 8 programs and they will fill it almost overnight, because they have their list. They're expediting these things. It gets your unit filled as immediately as possible. It's been a really great working relationship, and we've had that relationship with the San Diego County down here for a long time, and we've just had these conversations with Riverside, and they're thrilled and they're happy that we're going to be able to support them and use those vouchers and things that can get people housed through that program. And the owners and managers love it because it's guaranteed federal income to support their in this time frame. So. That's what we look for.
Stability. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No.
The owners are looking for stability, at this point. I mean, at one point, yes, they were a little tense about accepting the vouchers, but now they understand that's golden right now in unstable times right now. So it's very important to establish and create those relationships with the housing authorities.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've done the same thing. We've been partnering with our regional VASH program, the Veterans Assistance Program for housing homeless folks, and for a long time now. And I think last year, I think we hit 2,500 people that we got housed through the veterans that we got housed through the VASH program. I know you guys have a lot of military up in North County. What's your experience with that sort of stuff?
As far as housing, being a housing provider for military?
Yeah.
Marines, it really has been a smooth transition. Nothing's really changed with that sector. Everything is, they're still being employed. There's no, we haven't really had any transitions or, extra amount of deployments and things like that. So everything's just been fine for us. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that that's the experience. We always watch the deployments really closely. Particularly back when the wars in the Middle East were at their prime, we could tell a full-scale deployment in San Diego would shift the vacancy rates by percentage points.
Yes.
We can see it.
Yes.
We can definitely see it.
I have a couple colleagues in Oceanside that are very heavily saturated with military households, and they've been pretty stable. My site in Vista, we have about 15% military, and I might have had one who's being deployed maybe to like Virginia or something, but outside of that, it's been pretty stable.
Well, that's good to hear. We look for those things. We have a very close tie to the military. The association does in general. We find a lot of our members are former military. They bought their rental units when they re-upped. They took the money and they invested in rental property for their income later. And so we have a lot of that aspect, but we also have a lot of spouses of the military. Their spouses are deployed. The other ones said, "What do I do?" They come into the industry.
Right.
They are themselves are maintenance or managers or leasing agents and things like that. And what we found is it's a perfect match because it's a portable job. They can go anywhere and do that, and they can be in our industry.
Well, not only that, if you take all the knowledge that California pours into you with multifamily housing and rental properties and stuff, and you take it to anywhere like South Carolina, I mean, you're going to be like a star person and that company because you're coming in with more knowledge than they have. Our site in Oklahoma, I mean, their fair housing book is like this, to whereas ours is like this, And so my PM there, she just looks at me like, Natasha, take it down a notch. I'm like, no. We're going up, isn't up.
Yeah,
so,
guys need to scale up a little.
The benefit of having that in California. So,
yeah. I asked this question more and more lately, just because of the pandemic, and what I've come to find is that our member they don't shout out for themselves enough. And I started asking this question after I was doing interviews for awards in the Seattle area, and finding out how their managers and what their managers were doing in the community that nobody knew about, and even I didn't. I've been around forever. Is there something that you guys do as a company, or on your property that some good deed that you guys have done for one of your residents or for all your residents?
Well, you know what? Pre-COVID, we did a ton of things. Every month, we have what's called a calendar of events. We had the meet and greet in January, fall in love with the community in February, kind of go with the theme of, are you lucky? Let's do an early bird raffle. And spring cleaning, we would have Goodwill come out and assist them with cleaning off their patios and what's in their house. And then the summer, we would have barbecues, and then we would have a breakfast on the go and before September and turkey giveaway. But the one that stood out the most that the residents actually enjoyed was what was called a giving tree. We would have a holiday tree in the office in the month of December, and we would have ornaments, and we would partner up with different nonprofit organizations that helped with families that were in need. So we would go with Operations Hopes or oh, my brain's coming to a close here. I'm gonna use Operation Hope for right now.
That's fine.
Those are families that are in need, and on those ornaments, we would put things like what they needed: diapers, pencils, backpacks. And residents, when they would come in and pay their rent or just have a conversation with us, they would pick 5 or 10 ornaments off the tree and bring them in by a certain date, and we would donate them to the organization. So we just try to create that partnership, and I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of things that I'm involved in outside of being a property manager that kind of helps with it. But it's a good feeling, and it makes the residents feel good. So out of all those events throughout the year, that's the one that was most beneficial on both sides. So. And
see, that's the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize, and for whatever reason, I find that the industry, we just don't talk about it. And I've struggled with this. Is it that we're so humble in that regard, or is it just so second nature to us? We don't even think it's special anymore, but it absolutely is.
It is,
and that's one of the things I like to always ask, because I think people should tout that more. That that we are part of the community. We interact with the community that way. I think that one of the things that I've tried to kind of instill in our members since I been the executive director is that you're part of the community. Your residents are not just residents; they're your neighbors and your family members, and it's a symbiotic relationship, and we support one another. We couldn't have an industry without having residents, and they couldn't be a resident if we didn't have housing for them.
Absolutely.
And I just try to always make sure that people understand that we're in the business to house people.
Absolutely.
And that's what we enjoy.
Absolutely. If you think about it, those families that we assisted eventually one day could become one of our residents, and that's back in marketing, if you ask me.
Well, it is in that regard, but that's what we hope too. I mean, particularly those ones in need, we hope that we're helping to elevate them and move them on. That's the whole process. And that's always excited me about what we do is that opportunity to do that. And it's surprising. I always ask this question, and I've learned over the years. I think in all what I've come to learn, I used to, after 10 years in the industry, I only knew one person that said I want to be in the industry when I grow up, and that was because their whole family was in the industry. That was what their family did. And even to this day, I probably know 5 people who have said that, but they're all come from families who've always done that.
Right.
And what people don't realize is that how many people start off as residents who end up working in the industry.
Absolutely.
How did you bridge that gap? How did you become a property manager?
Let's see. I actually started off in a management position with a chain of preschool preschools, and I was overseeing the teachers and the children at the time, making sure the curriculum was up to date, making sure the classrooms were squared away, and making sure from a behavioral standpoint the kids were minding themselves while in school. And I felt like after 5 years that I wanted a transition. And so I'm from Chicago. I always like to dream big. I said either I'm going to get out the industry and just change my path, or I'm going to move back to Chicago and intern and work for Oprah. So that's what's going to happen. Okay. So one day I was out looking for an apartment, and the leasing consultant, of course, she was uncovering my needs and my wants. She was doing a great job. And I let her know, and she's like, you can totally join. You could apply for the position. I mean, you manage children, you'll just be managing adults. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I geared, with my, continuing education in college, I geared my resume to point out that, I'm managing children to managing adults. I did not know that those two would be very close when I got into the industry, but that's what I did. And, I ended up getting the position as a leasing consultant, and I loved it. I love to problem solve. I'm a people person. I love after we transitioned from being under a corporate umbrella and being an independent owner, I had the opportunity to spread my wings and, join associations and kind of create an operating standard that worked for our setting. And so that's how I got into the industry. It was a tour.
See, like I said,
so that's how
everybody I know, it's like,
yeah,
I'm going to be a property manager.
Yeah, because my family for a long time thought I just went to work, sat at a desk, looked pretty, and that was it. And I said, oh, I am a therapist. I am a father. I'm a husband. I am a dog walker. Okay. I am the police if I have to be. I'm all of the above in one. And I still have a job to do on top of that. So, but I love it. No days are the same, which I appreciate. So, yeah.
I always liken a community, a rental property community, to a little mini city, because you're the police, the city council, the mayor, and then administration all in one. Even the road crews, because you have to pass. You're all of it in once. It's such a varied thing to do. I've done a little research and stuff over the years in the education industry, and we're working really hard right now to get membership, complimentary membership to real estate students at our universities here in San Diego. And I found that property management is actually, it's been part of the college curriculum for a long time. And oddly enough, it still is. And it's strange because it's housed under home ec. We all remember a lot of kids these days probably don't, but when I was in high school, there was home ec class. And that was like your kitchen cleaning skills and your cooking skills and how to balance a checkbook. Property management was under home ec, and it still is in some colleges today.
I guess from the financial standpoint, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But when I got my real estate license, I found out the same thing too. Real estate agents put property management on the back burner. I'm like, no, you can totally make a career out of this and make good income to be able to support your family off of it. And the sky is the limit with the industry. I mean, I've learned so much about the city and the zoning and, been able to be in rooms I never thought I would have been able to be in, hence what made me, get involved with being a housing commissioner for the city of Oceanside. I'm like, okay, so not only am I a property manager, I want to be able to make recommendations to the city on how to, continue to have more affordable housing, because that's the real issue here, So the sky is the limit with property management. It could take you to be the mayor of any city because you have the experience of delegation.
I can't say how many people I know that are former that in the industry that are former elected officials or have gone into being elected officials. Some they get very bashful when I bring it up. I'm like, you were a council member in such and such jurisdiction. They're like, well, I'm like, you were, I know, but it all starts with that. They start off with a planning commission or a development or a project or a remodel where they have to go get permits and things like that, and they get involved in the government because they have to go to council and all those sort of things, and it just goes from there. And I'm very proud of that. I think that's great for our industry, that we get involved in that way, and vice versa. We have a lot of elected officials that we worked with over the year who end up investing in rental property and becoming members at different points in times, and support the industry. I even know one former president of the association who went on to be a judge. Oh. And it got me out of jury. It got me out of jury duty once because I walked in and they're like, "Do you know any judges, attorneys?" I'm like, "I know that one."
That's a good thing.
So, just an odd experience, but good. Yeah. And so, it's a good thing, I think, but again, it just shows how intertwined we are with our community. And the desert
everywhere.
Yeah.
The mall you shop at has a property manager.
Property manager, exactly.
The gas station you pump your gas at has a property manager. So it's everywhere.
Yeah, it very much so. Well, it's been really great talking to you this afternoon. I should just point out, because people watching, who's going to watch it all day, I schedule these for Friday in the afternoon, and I don't know why I do that. I thought it would be better than trying to work at 4 o'clock on a Friday. It makes it. Yeah, it's kind of, we're both just silly because it's been a long week. So it kind of makes part of the fun. But anyways, that's if you think we're a little nuts, it's probably why. Okay. But it's been great talking to you, Natasha.
Oh, thank you, Phil.
And so I'm Alan Pentico. This is Natasha Howell. This has been another member profile of the Southern California Rental Housing Association. For more information about our organization, you can go to SoCalRHA.org. And we also invite you to go to our YouTube channel, SoCalRHA, and follow us and like us and check out more videos from more of our members. Thank you so much, and wish you all a great day. Thank you.
Bye.